Now, I really don't like to use cliches, but it is true that when you're learning math, the obstacle is the way. When you're studying and you make a mistake, tell yourself that you've identified an opportunity to become better. Because of the reason that you made a mistake is whatever that little snippet was that was required to actually do the right thing on that question, you didn't have. Either because you didn't know it or because you weren't able to summon it in the moment. There are two different sets of problems that are somewhat related. And so what you should do therefore in that moment is to extract all the value that you can out of that failure that you made. Imagine, for example, that you struggle with absolute value. If I tell you that the negative of the absolute value of x is always going to be non-positive, will you agree immediately? If you don't take my word for it. Don't memorize it. Instead, take that abstraction and map it to the real world and actually try numbers that demonstrate to you why that is the case. And do it so many times until you arrive to the point where you have faith that yes, indeed, that is correct. Because I've tried so many numbers and now I am comfortable in actually using that abstraction the next time this moment comes, and I won't have to try so many numbers to be really sure. And that is exactly how you become better at math. You use failures to identify the weakness that you have, and then you need to work on it. And then you need to go through a lot of repetition until you've arrived to a point where you have faith that that abstraction that you learned is actually true. And then there are so many snippets of that you identify every single time that you make a failure. And you again go through this act of repetition. And once you've gone through this act of repetition, you arrive to a point where a lot of these abstractions are now things that you can use comfortably without doubting their truth. And that is when you become much faster on math. That is when you become much more creative on math. And that is when you become very autonomous. You are actually able to figure things out on your own, and you've become your best teacher. That is the goal.